The 1980s were filled with toys that were exciting, creative, and sometimes far riskier than anyone expected. Kids loved them, parents barely questioned them, and safety rules were not what they are today. Looking back, it is surprising how many popular toys came with hidden hazards. Today, we revisit 30 toys from the 1980s that brought plenty of fun, but also carried real dangers. If you grew up in that era, you might remember a few of these close calls from your own childhood. Snack Time Cabbage Patch Dolls became one of the most talked about toys of the 1980s for a reason few parents expected. These dolls were designed with a mechanical mouth that could eat pretend snacks made of plastic. Kids fed the dolls tiny toy foods, watching the jaw pull each piece inside with surprising force. The problem was that the mechanism did not know the difference between a toy and anything else. Fingers, hair, and even loose clothing were easily grabbed by the moving mouth, and once something was inside, it was almost impossible to pull it back out. Many children ended up frightened or hurt as the doll continued chewing without stopping. What was meant to be a cute feeding feature quickly became a safety concern. The combination of moving parts and no release switch made this toy far more dangerous than it appeared on the shelf. And while the Snack Time doll caused unexpected trouble, the next toy created a different kind of risk, hidden beneath its colorful fabric. Slap bracelets swept through schools in the late 1980s with a satisfying snap. Kids straightened the thin band, slapped it onto their wrists, and watched it curl instantly into a snug bracelet. The fun came from the speed and the sharp sound, but inside each bracelet was a thin metal strip that could become exposed as the fabric wore down. Once the edges poked through, the metal could scrape skin, snag clothing, or cut fingers during a quick slap. Many children discovered this the hard way during lunchtime or recess. The bracelets were banned in some schools, but not before becoming a memorable fashion trend that left behind its share of small injuries. And while slap bracelets delivered excitement in a single snap, the next toy filled the air with fumes that were far less innocent. Super elastic bubble plastic came in small tubes that promised giant floating bubbles kids could shape by hand. Instead of soap and water, this toy used a thick, colorful plastic that children squeezed onto a tiny straw. Blowing into the straw created balloon-like bubbles that held their shape longer than ordinary ones. The danger, however, came from the strong chemical smell that filled the air as soon as the plastic emerged from the tube. The fumes were intense enough to cause headaches, dizziness, or irritation, especially in small rooms. Kids also chewed on the straws, forgetting they were coated in chemicals or held the plastic too close to their faces. Despite the hazards, the bubbles were mesmerizing, and many children kept playing with them long after the warning surfaced. And while bubble plastic filled backyards with colorful creations, the next toy launched kids into risky moments of their own. Metal-tipped pogo sticks were designed for energetic outdoor play, letting kids bounce high into the air with each jump. The challenge was part of the fun, but these early models often came with sharp, hard metal tips at the base. On uneven pavement, the tip could slip suddenly, sending the rider crashing to the ground. Falls were common, and the impact often left more than just bruises. Kids attempted tricks, bounced too fast, or tried to jump on rough surfaces without realizing the danger. The heavy metal frame added even more force to each fall. While pogo sticks encouraged balance and coordination, they also led to plenty of sprained wrists, scraped knees, and shaken nerves. And while pogo sticks put kids at risk with every jump, the next toy danger was hidden in something much smaller and far easier to swallow. Magnetic maze boards were simple puzzle toys that used tiny metal balls guided by a magnetic wand. Kids dragged the magnet across the plastic surface, moving the little balls through winding paths. The problem was that the magnets inside many versions were not always securely fastened. If the board cracked or the wand broke open, Small magnets could escape. Curious children sometimes swallowed them, not realizing the danger. When 2 or more magnets connected inside the body, the results could be serious. Even when intact, the boards occasionally split apart during rough play, releasing the tiny metal balls as choking hazards. Despite the risks, the game remained popular because it was quiet, portable, and strangely relaxing. And while magnetic mazes looked harmless at first glance, the next toy brought a much louder kind of trouble. Toy cap guns were a thrilling part of playtime in the 1980s, creating loud pops and flashes that made every backyard feel like an action movie. These toys used rolls of tiny paper caps that exploded when the hammer struck them, releasing a burst of sound and a faint smell of smoke. Kids loved pretending to be heroes, villains, or Wild West characters, firing caps in rapid succession as the paper strips dangled from the toy. The problem came from the sparks and heat produced by each explosion. Caps could ignite if stored in pockets, and some children accidentally burned their fingers while reloading. The sudden noise also caused ear ringing when fired too close to someone's face. Despite the risks, the excitement kept these toys in countless toy boxes across America. And while cap guns brought the heat with every pop, the next toy turned danger into something springy and unpredictable. Moon shoes promised kids the chance to bounce like astronauts, but the reality was far less graceful. These plastic platforms attached to regular shoes with thick rubber bands, lifting kids a few inches off the ground and giving each step a wobbly spring. The idea was fun, but staying balanced was a challenge. Every bounce felt unpredictable, and even small missteps could send kids tumbling to the pavement. Twisted ankles, scraped elbows, and sudden falls were common, especially when kids tried to run or jump higher than they should. The plastic frames also cracked under pressure, turning the shoes into stumbling hazards. Still, many children loved the goofy feeling of bouncing across the driveway, laughing through every near fall. And while moon shoes turned sidewalks into risky launch pads, the next toy turned danger into something sticky and fast. Sticky, stretchy hands were simple toys that provided hours of laughter and accidental chaos. Kids whipped the long, rubbery hand against walls, windows, and furniture, watching it stick and peel away with a soft, slapping sound. The problem came from how fast and hard kids snapped them. A strong flick could sting fingers, scrape skin, or send the hand flying unexpectedly towards someone's face. The material also collected dirt, hair, and dust within minutes, making the toy grimy and irritating to handle. Some versions even tore during play, creating small pieces that younger children could put in their mouths. Despite the downsides, these sticky hands remained popular at birthday parties and arcade prize counters. And while stretchy hands caused stinging surprises, the next toy created hazards in the name of science and discovery. Toy chemistry sets in the 1980s looked exciting, with colorful powders, glass containers, and long stirring sticks. Kids felt like real scientists as they mixed ingredients to create bubbling reactions or small color changes. But many sets included substances that were unsafe when handled without care. Some powders caused skin irritation, while others produced fumes if heated too much. Glass beakers broke easily, leaving sharp edges that could cut fingers. Instructions were often vague, encouraging kids to experiment freely without fully understanding the risks. Parents trusted the educational value, but the potential for burns, spills, and accidental mixing was always present. Even so, playing with chemistry sets sparked curiosity and confidence in young minds. And while chemistry sets brought danger into homemade science labs, the next toy blasted that danger straight into the sky. Handheld water rockets were one of the most exciting outdoor toys of the era, using air pressure to launch plastic rockets high into the air. Kids pumped a small handle to build pressure, then released the rocket with a sudden burst of force. When everything worked correctly, the rocket soared impressively, drawing cheers from everyone watching. But if someone leaned too close, or if the rocket shifted direction unexpectedly, it could fly straight toward a face or a window. The pressure mechanism sometimes jammed, causing the rocket to release early and strike hands or heads. The water blast added another layer of surprise, soaking kids who were not prepared. Despite the risks, the thrill of watching the rocket climb into the sky made it impossible to resist. And while handheld rockets shot trouble upward, the next toy brought its own dangers right back down to Earth. Plastic bow and arrow sets were a favorite outdoor toy for many kids in the 1980s. The bows were lightweight, colorful, and easy to pull back, while the arrows often had rubber tips that were meant to soften the impact. But even with those soft ends, the arrows could fly farther and faster than expected. Kids aimed at trees, fences, and toy targets, yet the arrows often veered off course and hit friends, pets, or windows. The flexible plastic bows sometimes snapped under pressure, sending sharp pieces outward. Many children tried to see how far they could shoot, not realizing the arrow could come down unpredictably. Despite the risks, bow and arrow sets remained a backyard favorite because they made kids feel adventurous and skilled. And while these sets sent danger flying through the air, the next toy created a different risk, hiding trouble in something meant to scoop harmless fun. Folding toy shovels were designed to mimic real camping tools, complete with metal hinges and collapsible handles. Kids loved digging in sandboxes, dirt piles, and gardens, feeling like explorers uncovering hidden treasures. The danger came from the folding mechanism itself. The hinge could snap shut quickly, pinching fingers or trapping skin between the metal pieces. Some models loosened over time, causing the shovel to collapse unexpectedly during a heavy scoop. When used with enthusiasm, the metal edges scraped knuckles or bruised hands. Even so, kids carried these shovels on backyard adventures, imagining they were archaeologists or treasure hunters. The simple design made the tools appealing, even if they were not entirely safe. And while folding shovels pinched more than a few fingers, the next toy sparked issues when the excitement heated up in a different way. Remote control car battery packs were a thrill for kids who loved the speed and noise of miniature racing. The cars zoomed across driveways, sidewalks, and carpets, powered by rechargeable battery packs tucked beneath the plastic bodies. The problem was that many of those battery packs overheated during charging or extended play. Kids often touched the cars without realizing the battery compartment was scorching hot. Some chargers lacked automatic shutoff, causing the batteries to swell or leak. On rare occasions, the packs sparked or melted the thin plastic casing. Despite the risks, the excitement of controlling a fast-moving toy kept kids coming back for more. And while remote control cars delivered unexpected heat, the next toy delivered danger through the very frame kids rode on. Metal ride-on tricycles were sturdy, classic toys with a charming old-fashioned design. They were built from heavy steel frames, solid pedals, and hard rubber wheels. Kids loved the feeling of independence as they pedaled down sidewalks or around the driveway. However, the weight and rigidity of the metal frames made falls more painful. The edges of the handlebars and pedals were sharp enough to scrape or bruise legs during a sudden stop. Tipping over on a metal tricycle often led to more serious injuries than on newer plastic versions. The wheels also lacked traction, causing the tricycle to skid on smooth surfaces. Still, these tricycles became treasured toys passed down from sibling to sibling. And while metal tricycles carried real risks with every ride, the next toy danger glowed in the dark and swung fast enough to sting. Glow-in-the-dark yo-yos brought nighttime flair to a classic toy. Kids loved watching the bright, glowing plastic circle spin and light up as it traveled up and down the string. Tricks like walking the dog or around the world became even more dramatic in dim light. But the glow coating used on some early yo-yos was not always safe, especially when the surface chipped or wore down. The weight of the spinning yo-yo also created a surprising amount of force. A mistimed throw sent the plastic disc whipping toward hands, ankles, or faces, leaving painful welts. Kids practicing tricks indoors often knocked over lamps, picture frames, or anything within reach. Despite the risks, glow-in-the-dark yo-yos were irresistible, especially during sleepovers or summer nights outside. And while yo-yos glowed with excitement and danger, the next toy on the list brought a completely different kind of surprise. Toy metal detectors were an exciting way for kids in the 1980s to explore backyards, beaches, and parks. They buzzed or beeped when something metallic was hidden beneath the ground, turning every search into a miniature treasure hunt. The thrill came from never knowing what might be buried below the dirt. Kids dug enthusiastically, hoping to uncover coins, keys, or mysterious objects from the past. The danger came not from the metal detector itself, but from what it encouraged kids to find. Sharp nails, rusty screws, broken tools, and jagged scraps of metal often appeared in the holes they dug. Many children grabbed their discoveries without hesitation, unaware of the risk of cuts or infections. Some even dug near unsafe areas or deeper than they should have. Even so, the joy of finding hidden objects made toy metal detectors feel magical. And while metal detectors led kids to risky surprises underground, the next toy brought danger through the air with a sharp burst of force. Blow-dart target kits promised harmless fun, but they created more hazards than parents expected. These sets usually included a hollow plastic tube and lightweight darts with soft tips. Kids blew through the tube to launch the dart toward a target, hoping to hit the bullseye. The problem was how easily the darts flew farther than intended. A strong breath could send them shooting across a room or backyard at surprising speed. Some children aimed at unsafe targets or tried launching multiple darts at once. Accidental inhaling instead of blowing created another frightening risk, drawing the dart backward rather than forward. Even the soft tips could cause pain or injury if they struck someone at close range. Despite these issues, the dart kits felt exciting and competitive, making them a popular gift. And while blow dart kits carried clear risks with every puff of air, the next toy brought danger into playrooms through heat and melted plastic. Melting bead craft sets encouraged kids to create colorful designs using tiny plastic beads arranged on small pegboards. After completing their patterns, children or parents used a candle or open flame to melt the beads together, forming a solid shape. The craft felt creative and rewarding, but the heat source brought significant risks. Flames could burn fingers, melt the plastic unevenly, or release fumes that irritated eyes and noses. Younger children often tried to melt the beads themselves, unaware of how hot the metal tools or wax paper could become. Some beads rolled off the board and onto flammable surfaces. Still, these sets were popular because they allowed kids to turn their artwork into real keepsakes. And while melting beads introduced fire hazards to craft time, the next toy brought danger through spinning blades and unpredictable flight paths. Belt-driven toy helicopters were small, battery-powered aircraft that kids launched outside with excitement. A tiny belt system spun the plastic blades quickly, sending the helicopter rising into the air with surprising force. Watching it lift off felt thrilling, but the spinning blades were harder than they looked. Kids often leaned too close or tried to grab the helicopter before it landed, getting hit by the fast-moving plastic. The blades sometimes snapped mid-flight, turning into sharp projectiles that flew across the yard. The battery compartments heated up, and the helicopter's sudden changes in direction made it difficult to predict where it would land. Despite the risks, the promise of controlling a flying toy made these helicopters unforgettable. And while helicopter blades caused unexpected trouble, the next toy delivered its own surprises through static, sparks, and sharp antennas. Toy walkie-talkies were a popular way for kids to communicate during backyard missions, neighborhood games, or indoor adventures. These plastic radios came with long antennas designed to improve the weak signal, but the antennas created risks of their own. They bent easily, snapped unexpectedly, or poked kids during rough play. Some antennas were sharp enough to scratch faces or eyes if waved too quickly. The devices also produced bursts of static that startled younger children, and the battery compartments grew warm during long conversations. Walkie-talkies often encouraged kids to wander farther than they should, leading them into unsafe areas while trying to stay in range. Still, the thrill of talking through a radio made them one of the most memorable toys of the decade. And while walkie-talkies sparked both fun and danger, the next toy on the list carried its hazards in much smaller, fast-moving pieces. Plastic popper jumping toys were small, simple, and surprisingly chaotic. Kids flipped the rubber dome inside out, placed it on the ground, and waited for the sudden snap that sent it flying into the air. The excitement came from the unpredictability. No one knew exactly when it would launch or how high it would jump. But the same surprise that made them fun also made them risky. Children leaned over them to watch closely, only to have the popper spring upward and strike their faces. The hard plastic edges stung sharply on impact, and many kids learned quickly not to hover over them. Indoors, the poppers hit ceilings, lamps, or fragile items on shelves. Outdoors, they disappeared into bushes or bounced dangerously close to pets. Still, these toys remained popular because a single pop created instant laughter. And while popper toys delivered quick bursts of unexpected motion, the next toy sent danger bouncing wildly in every direction. Rubber superballs were simple toys that carried incredible force. These solid spheres bounced higher and faster than most children expected, sometimes reaching rooftops or flying across entire yards. Kids loved slamming them against sidewalks to see how high they could go, but the rebounds were unpredictable. A superball could ricochet off a wall and strike someone in the face before they had time to react. Indoors, they shattered picture frames, knocked over decorations, and dented drywall. The balls were also a choking hazard for younger children, since many were small enough to fit in a mouth. Despite these risks, the thrill of controlling such powerful energy in a small toy kept super balls in circulation. And while super balls brought high-speed surprises, the next toy used mechanical parts to cause a completely different kind of trouble. Toy robots with pinch arms fascinated kids with their moving joints, flashing lights, and wind-up movements. Many models included gripping claws or hinged hands that opened and closed with a spring or lever. Kids used them to pick up small items, battle other toys, or act out futuristic adventures. The danger came from the strength and sharpness of the claw mechanisms. The pinch was strong enough to catch skin, trap hair, or clamp onto fingers unexpectedly. Some robots had metal components inside the joints, creating harder edges than parents realized. When the robot tipped over, the claw could spring shut abruptly, startling kids or causing minor injuries. Still, the charm of a toy robot marching across the floor made it irresistible. And while robots pinched and gripped more than they should, the next toy created hazards through speed, swings, and stinging impacts. Hard plastic skipping ropes were common playground toys, offering hours of active fun. Instead of soft woven rope, these versions used rigid plastic tubes that spun faster and hit harder. Kids eager to jump often swung the rope with full force, unaware of how much it hurt to get struck in the legs, arms, or face. The rope stung sharply, leaving red marks or bruises. When groups of children played together, crowded spaces increased the chances of accidental hits. The rope also snapped loudly against pavement, sometimes cracking or splintering at the ends, creating sharp edges. Despite the risks, skipping rope remained a favorite because of the rhythm, challenge, and friendly competition. And while plastic ropes delivered painful strikes, the next toy used pressurized streams to create its own kind of unpredictable danger. Battery-powered water guns were an exciting upgrade from simple pump-action sprayers. With the press of a trigger, a stream of water shot out continuously, giving kids an advantage during backyard battles. The battery pack, usually housed under the handle, powered a small motor that pushed the water through the nozzle at high speed. But the combination of water and electronics often caused trouble. Some models short-circuited when water dripped into the battery compartment, heating the casing or causing it to leak. The motors jammed unexpectedly, making loud grinding noises that startled younger children, and the stronger water pressure could sting when sprayed directly at faces or eyes. Still, the non-stop spray made these water guns incredibly fun and memorable. And while battery-powered water guns carried their own hazards, the remaining toys from this decade held even more surprising risks. Toy blacksmith branding kits were marketed as creative craft sets, allowing kids to press warm metal stamps onto pieces of leather or wood to create personalized designs. The kits often included small metal branding irons, a stand, and soft materials to decorate. The danger came from the heat required to make the stamp work. Kids needed to warm the metal using hot water, candles, or other household heat sources. And the metal pieces reached temperatures high enough to burn skin instantly. Even the handles grew warm during extended use, catching children off guard. Accidental drops left scorched marks on tables, carpets, and anything nearby. Parents trusted the educational angle, but the reality was far riskier. Still, many kids loved the feeling of making something permanent with their own hands. And while branding kits brought real heat into arts and crafts, the next toy brought danger straight from the family oven. Shrink-wrap art kits encouraged kids to create colorful decorations by coloring flat plastic sheets, cutting them into shapes, and placing them in the oven to shrink into hard charms. Watching the plastic curl, twist, and flatten again was mesmerizing, but the process required using a hot oven, often with kids standing too close, eager to watch through the oven door. Opening the oven exposed them to blasts of heat, and some children tried to remove the hot plastic too soon, burning their fingers. The fumes released during shrinking were strong, filling kitchens with an unpleasant smell. Despite the hazards, the charm of creating personalized trinkets made the kits wildly popular. And while shrink-wrap art brought heat and fumes into craft time, the next toy brought a different kind of risk involving spinning wheels and low riding excitement. Roller racers were low-to-the-ground ride on toys that moved when kids twisted the handlebars back and forth, creating a rhythmic motion that propelled the racer forward. Children loved weaving around driveways and sidewalks, feeling the speed and control of the unique steering system. However, the low design placed kids close to the pavement, making falls more painful. Feet dangled dangerously close to the spinning front wheel, leading to pinched toes or scraped ankles. The hard plastic frame offered little protection against rough surfaces, and crashes often resulted in bruised elbows or knees. In crowded spaces, kids collided with each other or with obstacles they could not see while riding so low. Yet the unusual movement made the roller racer unforgettable. And while roller racers delivered scrapes and surprises, the next toy focused danger into a single, powerful shot. Toy metal slingshots were marketed as outdoor adventure tools, encouraging kids to test their aim with small pellets or stones. The metal frames provided strong tension, allowing projectiles to travel farther and faster than parents expected. Many children practiced in backyards, unaware of how easily a misfired shot could break windows, dent cars, or cause serious injury. The rubber band snapped back unexpectedly, stinging hands or hitting faces. Kids also aimed at unsafe targets or launched objects that were too heavy. Despite the risks, slingshots remained appealing because they made kids feel strong, skilled, and adventurous. And while metal slingshots turned small objects into fast-moving hazards, the final toy on our list transformed a simple summer classic into something far more intense. Flamethrower-style water guns were designed to look dramatic. with long barrels and high-output streams that resembled a fictional version of real equipment. These toys shot water with surprising force, sometimes reaching impressive distances with a single pump or battery-powered burst. The pressure created powerful streams that stung when sprayed at close range, especially near faces or ears. Some models had no pressure release, causing the water chamber to swell or leak unexpectedly. The realistic shape also caused misunderstandings in public places, prompting safety concerns. Still, kids loved the dramatic design and the feeling of wielding a powerful water blaster. And while these water guns marked the end of our journey through risky toys, they remind us just how wild and unforgettable the world of 1980s playtime truly was. These toys may have been risky, but they shaped a childhood full of bold play and unforgettable memories. Looking back, it is amazing how much fun came from things that were far less safe than we realized. If you enjoyed this look at the wild side of 1980s toys and want more trips into the past, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next video.